Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. As always, I just want to start by saying thank you to everyone. Thank you for all your likes, all your subscribes. Thank you if you've shared any of my videos. Thank you if you've even just watched one of my videos. I know not everybody wants to subscribe because they don't want the notifications, etc. But if you have, please consider subscribing. That really does help me out, and it's a free way of supporting my channel. Also, I want to thank everyone who participates in the live chats. We had another good live chat last night talking about, did man really land on the moon? Were the moon land? This is a very famous conspiracy theory, isn't it? Is it true that 50 years ago, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin actually did, dance on the moon? Or anyway, so thank you to everyone who has supported even my trolls, my trolley dollies, as I've decided to call them. Thank you if you've watched one of my videos, even left a horrible comment. Thank you so much, because you are helping to support my channel in your own strange ways. So thank you to my trolley dollies. Thank you to all my members, especially. Lots of you have joined my channel. We've got a really good members live coming up next Tuesday. I've got a lot of footage from St. Michael's that have been sent by a member. And we're going to look at that and their thoughts on it. They will be anonymous unless they want to say who they are, but they've given me the permission to use the footage. Very, very interesting. Anyway, so that's Tuesday. So, so anyone who's joined, if you want to join, you can join. Also, thank you for anyone who has sent me a super, bought me a Ko-fi. If in any way, shape or form you have supported my channel, thank you so much, because really I could not do it without you, because sometimes it does get difficult, just overwhelming, especially with true crime, and that's why I like to do something a bit lighter every now and again. And that's what I'm just going to tell you about today. Now, this came up because I got so many comments about the moon landings. Lots of people feel strongly one way or another about it. And as you know, on my channel, we agree to differ. Some people can't believe that anyone could think it wasn't true. Other people can't believe that anybody would think it was true. This is the polarity of opinions. And then you get some people that are sort of on the fence, if you like. And when I was answering one of the comments, somebody just saying it was incredible that anyone could believe that it happened. And I was thinking about it, and I remembered something some of you will know about and some of you won't know about at all, because it happened a long time ago. That it's incredible what people will believe, even when they're not trying to, when the government's not trying to convince them of something, people will believe it. This particular, to me, I was thinking about that, is this like the original, the epitome of fake news? But it was fake news. It wasn't deliberate fake news. There's a bit of a controversy about that. It wasn't governmental fake news. It wasn't something that the government released to make everybody believe it. And this was the radio program of War of the Worlds. Now, I don't know if you know of the book by H.G. Wells. He's a famous science fiction author. He wrote The Time Machine, War of the Worlds, which has been made into several films, I think. And this was a radio broadcast. So it wasn't a film, it was a radio serialization, if you like, of, I miss them. Maybe I don't listen to the radio enough now, but I used to like that. We used to listen to the Lord of the Rings serialized on the radio. And, I miss that. I suppose now we do it on YouTube, don't we, with podcasts and videos like mine. People like listening. I like to be listening to something while I'm, cleaning or cooking or doing other stuff that's not very interesting. you put something on to listen to, don't you? You don't want something that you have to sit down and watch, because then you can't be doing other stuff. I've always got something on in the background, which I suppose one day would have been the radio, years ago would have been the radio. Now it's YouTube normally, or some sort of podcast or video that I don't need to concentrate on looking at. So this was the War of the Worlds. And what happens in the War of the Worlds is Earth gets taken over by aliens. It's a bit like, an old-fashioned version of Independence Day. If you've ever seen that film, which is one of my favourite films of all time with Will Smith, what a brilliant film that is. Independence Day, definitely. If you haven't seen it, I'd be very surprised if you haven't seen it, because it's so famous. But if you haven't, honestly, whether you're interested in, because I'm not really a sci-fi buff, I don't like Star Wars and things like that. I like the first Star Wars, but then it just all got a bit silly for me. I used to like Star Trek years ago, when I was a kid, and it was William Shatner, and I loved Star Trek then, and Space 1999 and things. But again, Star Trek, as the films sort of went on, no, I'm not really a big science fiction lover. But this is an iconic book, War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells. He's a famous author. This is an iconic book, an iconic story. These creatures, Triffids, I think they're called. Anyway, you'll find a film, or you'll find the book if you are interested in those kind of things. But anyway, let me tell you what happened and how this radio serialization caused hysteria in America, in the United States, because they believed it. People were listening to the radio and they didn't realize it was just fiction, that it was a serialization of a book. They thought it was really happening. Lots of people thought it was really happening. And I mean, I'm laughing, but that could have been me. I'll never be surprised about anything, because I do believe in aliens. That's another thing that I do actually believe in. And I have seen a UFO once. But anyway, we'll talk about that in another video. So this was, and it was Orson Welles, and I'm sure you've heard of Orson Welles. He was a very famous American actor in the Hollywood glory days, really, wasn't he? He played Citizen Kane in that classic film. Now, he's very young here, so you can see him on this photo. Let me just make sure that you can see it. Yeah, you can see him on this photo. He's quite young. That's him with his arms raised, and he's rehearsing his radio depiction of H.G. Wells' classic, The War of the Worlds. So this broadcast aired on October the 30th in 1938. So, yeah, a long time ago. So people, I wonder what would happen now. Yeah, people are a bit more savvy now, aren't they? They're more media savvy. But, there are fake news that, quite often fake news, it's easy. I've fallen for it a million times with fake news. So anyway, the claim was that aliens from Mars had invaded New Jersey, and it terrified thousands of Americans. So on Halloween morning, 1938, Orson Welles awoke to find himself the most talked about man in America. The night before, Wells and his Mercury Theatre on Air had performed a radio adaptation of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds, converting the 40-year, he's 40, gosh, he looks younger there. He lived to quite a long age, Orson Welles. But anyway, so converting the 40-year-old novel. Oh, the novel was 40. I thought he didn't look 40 there. Into fake news bulletins and describing a Martian invasion of New Jersey. Some listeners mistook these bulletins for the real thing, and their anxious phone calls to police, newspaper offices, and radio stations convinced many journalists that the show had caused nationwide hysteria. By the next morning, the 23-year-old Wells, so he was only 23, Wells's face and name were on the front pages of newspapers coast to coast, along with headlines about the mass panic his CBS broadcast had allegedly inspired. So he'd hardly had time to glance at the papers, leaving him with only a horribly vague sense of what he had done to the country. He had heard reports of mass stampedes, suicides, angered listeners threatening to shoot him on sight. And he said, if I'd planned to wreck my career, I couldn't have gone about it better. With his livelihood and possibly even his freedom on the line, Wells went before dozens of reporters, photographers, and newsreel cameramen at a hastily arranged press conference in the CBS building. Each journalist asked him some variation of the same basic question. Had he intended, or did he at all anticipate, that War of the Worlds would throw its audience into panic? That question would follow Wells for the rest of his life, and his answers changed as the years went on, from protestations of innocence to playful hints that he knew exactly what he was doing all along. Yeah, so it makes you wonder, doesn't it? So this is supposed that, there is this the first time fake news, but this was supposedly, unless it was done deliberately to try and it certainly works, because it certainly became one of the most famous actors ever in American movie history. Was it intended to cause all that fuss for the attention, or was it literally just they weren't expecting people to fall for it? So the bulletins were as if it was really happening, but they were connected with this play. So very interesting. So, but what is definitely true is that thousands of Americans were affected by this, phoning the police, what's going on. I mean, I don't know if it's true about the suicides and mass stampedes. I mean, my goodness, just so there you go. I thought you just might be interested in that little snippet. Because it sort of reminded me when I was thinking of an answer, when I was replying to a comment from someone about last night's live stream. Yeah, these are all part, you forget about these things. I don't know if it probably couldn't happen now, because news is so disseminated now, isn't it? So you sort of see news. We all watch our news in different places. It's not like then when it was just like you've got your TV, so a certain number of stations, your radio, a certain number of stations. People were much more concentrated on smaller areas to get their news, and especially in 1938. So, yeah. So did you know about that? Do you think you could get caught in, if you were listening to, Sky News came on and started saying, no, aliens are invading us, would you be taken in by it? Sometimes they do little things, don't they, on like April Fool's Day, try and trick us in with things. But I think they're tricking us every day with one thing or another. But they're the big things, aren't they, that we get led astray with, or we just don't get all the information. And sometimes you think, what is the truth behind these stories in general? But anyway, I was going to start getting a little bit political then, but I'm not going to. Gosh, you can feel it's like biting on my tongue. Just no. Okay, so I'll see you in the live stream later on tonight. It's Friday Night Live later. If you're watching this in the moment, obviously, if you're watching it further down the line, it won't be Friday Night Live later. And we're looking at the paranormal. So we've been looking at some different subjects. Hope you're finding it interesting. I'm finding it interesting. And it's a decompression from true crime for me, because, this week I've been very overwhelmed with cases, and the Nicola Bulley case just, is that's all I can say at the moment. I think you get to a point where you do need to decompress from it. So remember to always live and love very carefully. Be very careful what you believe. Be very careful of what you believe on radio. the radio news about aliens invading. And I will see you very soon in the next video. Until then, may your God go with you. Thank you.